Okay, just got the head set right onto the block. Got the washers for the head bolt, and I'm gonna go start installing the head bolts. Alright, you guys can see all bolts have been torqued the initial 30 Newton meters and then 90 degrees. You can see here we're 90 degrees from the mark on the head. I marked it with the paint marker. So we're 90 degrees and they're all the same. Some of these bolts, sometimes you get a twist in the tool and the head of the torque wrench gets a misleading reading because the tool is twisting. So some of these I have to go back and maybe do another 10 or 15 degrees just to visually align it from where I started. So we're gonna go ahead and mark these for the 180 because you really can't tell much of a difference when you go because 180 puts you back at the same position. So I'll do another yellow marker just so I know my 180 is done. Okay. All right, you guys can see we've got the yellow mark indicating we've got 180 degrees torque. On these type of 180 degrees torque on the bigger boats, I had to go another 10 or 15 degrees just to visually see that I was 180 from where I started. These smaller ones, there was quite a bit of twisting, so maybe 30 or 35 degrees more I had to go to visually get it to 180 degrees. Yeah. All right, boat's torque. I'm gonna start to assemble the head now. All right. Hey, we are back on the N55 build, serial number 7701. So we got the head on. Head is installed and torqued. So now we're gonna start with the head reassembly. As you can see over here, we've got camshaft ledges, exhaust camshaft, intake camshaft. We've got everything organized in the manner of orientation. From 1 to 6. Okay? So we're matching up our gates, our rockers, our cam followers, and aligning those. Make sure they go back in the right position. The ledges have been polished. You can take a look at those. Those have been polished. So is the camshaft. The camshaft has been polished. Journals and lobes. The intake camshaft, let me take a look at it here. Intake camshaft has been polished. I've also gone ahead and mic'd the camshaft journals and checked the OD of the camshaft to the ID of the bearing bores here, and make sure that I've got a good oil clearances. When the head was built, the plastic gauge check was done on the intake bearing ledges, and those look pretty good. I think they were right around 3.5 thousandths. Well, we were going to spot check one of them, and then we're going to install a camshaft and spot check one of them, make sure we're still good. You can see here we've also polished the journals of the intake camshaft. Okay, these have been polished and ready for installation. We made sure we went ahead and cleaned the surfaces, make sure there's no burrs, nothing hanging up, because you want to be able to seat properly. Okay, all the hydraulic lifter bores have been cleaned. We went ahead and polished the inside of those with a little bit of a fine polishing pad to get any type of, residue from when the head was washed. Get those out, so when you put that lifter in, it doesn't have any type of a restriction. It goes right in. Okay, we did that on both sides here. So we're going to go ahead and install the intake camshaft. Check our oil bearing clearances. We're just going to spot check one or two, and then we're going to go ahead and take that out, install the camshaft, install our followers, install our rockers, install our bridge, our gates, and so forth. Okay, it's important to understand that these are matched to the location, and they've also numbered from 1 to 5. Really, you're reusing it. Just need to match it up. On the intake rockers, make sure that these should have a number on them. Number 3 on the stamped onto the rocker is considered to be standard. Other ones outside of 3 is a function of controlling your idle speed. So typically all the ones that I have are labeled number 3, which are standard. If you wanted to adjust, or your fluctuations in your idle speed, you can change these with a different numbering. Okay. All right, let's get to it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and install the camshaft, the intake camshaft. I'm going to check our all bearing clearance on the ledges here. We've got new Teflon rings installed. All right, so we've gone ahead and checked the all clearances. Spot check it, which is right in line for when we checked it on the head, when the head was rebuilt. Right around 3 to 4 thousandths, which is pretty good. Now we're going to go ahead and install the camshaft. Wanted to show you guys something. So when you put your camshaft, intake camshaft cover caps and you go ahead and tighten it down, it's very important to make sure that this cap is in alignment with the head bore. If it's too low, then you're going to be off. Too high, you're going to be off. It's got to be right. It's got to be aligned to the point where if you run your finger across here, you shouldn't feel any difference. You shouldn't feel any lip or any kind of a difference between the two cap. It's important that you do that, because with these camshafts having such tight clearances, if you just tight it in, then what you're going to be doing is they're going to be having looser clearance as it goes around. So if you think about it, if you misalign the cap here, you're going to reduce the all clearances as the camshaft rotates around, because you're no longer centered. You got like a little bit of a crescent moon. So you can see as the camshaft comes around this way, you're really tight clearances, and then you go to loose clearances. Now as you come down here, it's tight, then goes to loose. So you want to make sure you have uniform clearances, because if you don't have the correct clearances or the allowable area to have the correct clearances, then you could worn your caps, or you could start to score your caps with the aluminum. So just make sure everything is in alignment here, okay?